We're in Forbidden Fruit World with this car.
Talk about catnip for car enthusiasts. It's a wagon.
It's a great wagon.
It doesn't matter that it's cool looking and has all kinds of power and drives well. It's a wagon. That's all that matters.
But here's the thing, though. This is the M3 Touring, which is the M3 with the beaver teeth in wagon form that we don't get in the States. But a couple of things have struck me already. One of them is that I'd heard it mentioned, and now I've seen it. The Euro plate is like half covering the ugly, and it makes it more palatable.
Half cover the ugly, all cover the ugly. I don't care. Cover the ugly, and it's actually a little bit better. But you're right, it works for Euro. This is the AC Schnitzer ACS3 Sport, the Touring. This thing is $43,000 on top of the base car price, 43,000 euros. So we're talking 122,000 US dollars for this car, $122,000 wagon, and that might sound off-putting.
It does sound off-putting. You can get into the beginning of the M3 for $75,000.
Sure.
We're at $120,000, but I know you're headed there. Quite a bit has been done.
Great cars, great roads, and all the reasons we love to drive.
Road trips, comparisons, test drives, and podcasts. This is Everyday Driver.
We're here because of Hooked on Driving. You can tell we're not wearing Everyday Driver logos. We're wearing our Hooked on Driving logos.
That's right.
Because we're here with a Hooked on Driving trip. Hooked on Driving comes to the ring and spa at least once a year, in addition to our Everyday Driver trip that we do every year. So you could still probably come. There's still a sign-up going on right now.
That's right. Go to hookedondriving.com to find a track day near you, but also look for the annual trip, at least the annual trip to the ring. It's right there.
Right here. We are currently there.
And Spa-Francorchamps.
Yep.
So thank you to RSR, Ron Simons, and the entire team at RSR Spa and RSR Nurburgring for giving us this car. We are so excited to drive it. This is the car that I want, and I would overlook the beaver teeth. I would do something with the plate. I would put an American license plate on the front. It's dirty. It's being driven. I was behind Ron coming up Spa. He drove this at Spa with a car full of people, and he came up Eau Rouge sideways, and then I followed him up Kemmel Straight, and then Lake Combe, he drifted out of Lake Combe fully sideways. 50% of the lap, I'm sure, was sideways in this car.
Because you can decide on
Insane.
this. Two-wheel drive or four-wheel drive. You can pick.
Yes, this is the all-wheel drive version.
Two-wheel drive, which is great. This is the X-Drive version, and it is actually really wonderful to drive it in two-wheel drive form. We are driving around the ring roads around the Nurburgring. We are not putting it on the Nurburgring, but this isn't a track car. You can track it, but its purpose is not to be a track car. Its purpose is to be the ultimate driver's family vehicle, and I think they may have hit that target.
I think they did too.
It still has the 3-liter straight six from BMW, but it's been cranked more than a bit. We're up to 600 horsepower here and 550 something pound-feet of torque.
Yeah, 602 and 553, up from 479 and 455, I think, pound-feet of torque.
More than 100 improved.
A lot.
150 pound-feet of torque.
This is unbelievable, but it's clearly built for the roads in Germany.
Yes.
I'm really trying to think, would this really work in North America? Would it work in the US? And the quality of the roads, I'm not sure, because the suspension on this car is quite stiff. It's right on the edge. I mean, even though every enthusiast who sees this car, to the person, wants to drift it, wants to drive it fast, you just want to own this car, mainly because it's so useful.
Everywhere we've been today while driving this car, it gets looks. Now that we got around the ring, we've been on the Autobahn, we've been lots of places.
This car gets as many looks as GT3 anything.
Supercars. Supercars.
This could
get the kind of looks this does, because people haven't seen it yet. I do want to note, look, if this were the standard M3 Touring, it would have a softer overall and also much more adjustable softness in the suspension that would make it viable for the US. I would love for BMW to bring the M3 Touring to the US. But what's happened here is AC Schnitzer has put in an entirely different suspension setup. And while it is still adjustable, it goes from pretty stiff to we are trying to race this.
To my back hurts.
Yes, and you've got these really serious seats that are the same seats that were in that M2 that we like. They are wildly aggressive. You could argue that they're not seats for road trips, which is kind of too bad because this is a road trip car. This is one of those cars that the driver will be ecstatic, but if it's your family car, there will be passengers complaining. That's the big thing I keep coming to, is that the kids in the back are going to be frustrated by the stiff ride. I mean, it's going to be fun for a little bit, but then if you're really using this to crush miles, it is too stiff for a family vehicle.
I suppose that is a hard sell.
However, the driver won't stop smiling because there's a precision here that you would never expect. This is nearly a 4,300 pound vehicle. There is a precision here it shouldn't have.
Well, BMWs of late have really impressed me with their precision.
Sure.
To the vehicle. But we noted on the M2, the brand new M2, that it hides its weight mostly up until a certain point, but that limit is pretty high, but then you do feel the weight of the vehicle.
Yeah.
I noticed this one is completely hidden. It is veiled
That's
from
a very
you.
good point. Yes.
You will never feel the weight of this car at any point, on track, off track, driving fast. It's so nimble, it's so responsive, and that is what is so worth your money from AC Schnitzer. You always introduce that conversation of what are you tuning it for?
Agreed. Yeah.
Because here, it's tuned for everything. Spa, the ring, the Autobahn, canyon roads, going to get lunch or dinner, whatever. It's really the perfect enthusiast vehicle.
Okay, just a quick blast here.
I felt you. Trying to put the power down.
Got rid of traffic finally on these tight German roads. You're right about this hiding its weight.
You don't feel it anymore.
It never feels small. This is a big vehicle, but it doesn't feel heavy. And that is amazing. 4,200 pounds is a heavy car. And while this does feel lengthy, because it is a big wagon, it never feels heavy. And the precision is really superb. This is a notch beyond what BMW is doing on their own, which you would hope so for that price point. I continually am shocked by how well this drives, how tight, and it has that, I hate to say it this way, but it has that taut, built for the track feel.
Yes, yeah. In
wagon form, and that's why I say I think the family might not be thrilled. Dad or mom that drives this will be thrilled. Whoever's not driving is going to be like, you know what? Can we take a softer car that's better on more roads? I will also say, you're talking about hiding things. Speed is another one this hides. I was on the Autobahn for a while at 200 kilometers an hour. Now that doesn't suggest this couldn't go faster. It can go much faster. 200 kilometers an hour is like 120, 130 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Blowing by people at 200 kilometers an hour, and it was casual. I hit about 270 something at one point when I just decided to really put my foot
Did you really?
Yes, which is
Fantastic.
160 plus miles an hour.
Yeah.
I want you to understand how just no big deal. Here's what it felt like. I'm doing roughly 120 miles an hour, and it feels no different than 60 in the States on cruise control.
Astounding. Fastest I got was 256, but it was raining, and I decided, you know what? Those gentle bends or sharp corners at 256.
Yeah, they grow a little bit, don't they?
But it was so easy, and it was so confident at that speed. It was unbelievable. So we're in what is, you could consider to be a no compromises car. But yet, to actually be better, you would have to compromise in seats or ride quality or comfort for doing daily activities. So this no compromises thing, it sounds great on paper, but you also have to live with it.
Yeah, you're right. Look, the M3, in spite of the, how do I put this, not really palatable nose, let's put it that way, this is a good looking vehicle, and it has good space. The M3 is still doing the thing we've always liked the M3 for. At least I will say I've always liked it in four-door form, where it is a genuine, usable family car that, by the way, can you believe what this can do? And this is that with a full wagon back, and even more because of AC Schnitzer. I can't...
It's perfect. and yet imperfect, because it's so hardcore.
It's hardcore.
It's always hardcore, all the time, always, everywhere you go, it's just hardcore. Do you want that? If you do and you can live with it, great, wonderful, this is your car.
Mm-hmm. I think it's the difference between, it's not even do you want it, because you're watching this video and you're probably saying, yes, I want it. I wanted you to ask the opposite question. Does your family want it?
Right.
Because I'm not sure they do.
Right.
So it's the ultimate family car, but not for the family, is kind of where I'm ending up, which is a weird conclusion for me, but I have to go there.
It's a race car. From the passenger seat over here, this just feels like you want to be on track, yet it's not the car that you want to put on track.
It's not a track shape in the least, but I agree with you. When you drive this or ride in it, you think, well, let's go to the racetrack. We need to do a track day in this right now. And then you look behind you and go, wait, this is a wagon.
It's the wrong car
totally
to put
the
on
wrong
track.
shape. Yeah. We're literally doing loops around the Nurburgring in a car that we'd like to put on the Nurburgring, but
then if you're going to put one on the ring, choose tighter, lighter,
a smaller sports car that doesn't weigh 4,300 pounds and has a wagon. I'm confusing myself. That's really where I'm left. But anyway,
I guess it's BMW parking anyway.
BMW parking. So.
Okay. All right. Well, if you've been to the ring, you know where we're parked. Pretty famous building here. It feels so right to be in this car here in this area. You know how we've always talked about BMW seats being the best? These seats are the best I've ever sat in.
They haven't stopped that. They're
the
not lost the crown.
Seats I've ever sat in. We've sat in them before in the M2, and here they are in the M3, and I'm reminded how good they are and how worth the money they are. And they have this thing for the 5-point or 6-point belts. You're molded into the shape, so you can't readjust your body, but the shape that your body is in is very comfortable. I could do a fair long distance in these seats.
Right.
It would be a little rough, like more than 2 hours.
I agree.
2 hours would probably be my top.
That's probably the limit. I agree with you. It's not. These are not. Let's be in these seats for 8 hours today. You wouldn't want to do that. And they do have this carbon fiber that they're molded for your thighs. That could go wrong if you bounced over the wrong thing. There is a protrusion in the seats in the area between your legs, and it might hurt.
A standoff.
But again, this is where the car leans toward let's really take it to the track, not let's take it with a family road trip, though it's family road trip shaped. I remain confused in the best way possible. Yeah.
Styling wise, this is superb. The AC Schnitzer package is very subtle. And I really appreciate that, because there's so many tuning companies that go too far and unnecessary bits all over the car. So the front is still off-putting to my eye. I'm still not a fan. The Euro license tag does help. It covers things up, and that does break up the teeth right in the middle.
It does.
But every other angle, it screams enthusiast wagon. The rear is superb. Following this car with the quad tailpipes is just, it's so cool looking. It just hits on everything why enthusiasts love wagons and why they love this kind of look. And the styling everywhere else, the surfaces are great. I like BMW's style and their language in the design. And I'm getting used to the interior. I'm getting used to this curved screen.
It works great. I cannot believe we've got a TV screen mounted at the dash.
Yes, but it's a simple, relatable shape. In the midst of all the other shapes that are trapezoids, and this is a respite for your eyes.
Okay. I don't think it's going to age well, and I wish it just wasn't a monster screen.
It's a monster screen, but I think it's working. And it's a long ribbon rather than a large panel here. So
I do prefer the landscape look over the portrait look on a screen. I will give you that. Other AC Schnitzer changes. These paddles are not the BMW paddles, and they do feel great. They are really wonderful to work with. They're thin, they're metal. They feel like you rated the track car parts bin. They really do. The wheels are actually not BMW wheels either. These are now 20s in the front, 21s in the rear. That is their AC Schnitzer design. Also really like these subtle RSR things they put on this car, because Ron Simons, our friend at RSR, it's what RSR is named for, he drove this and promptly decided to buy their showcase car. So they put little RSR badges on it, which is not wrong. Really awesome. He made a good choice for sure. Yes.
All right.
You ready?
Drive this thing.
Let's do it. Seats are great, but you have to like properly position yourself in them. You have to just see. We're both doing it. You have to kind of take a minute and
Gotta wiggle down in.
get yourself settled, and everybody's clear, and then we're good.
This thing is a monster. Everywhere you go, it's just hardcore, it's on. You want to go find limits. But that's not always appropriate on the road. So then you think, well, where can I wring this thing out? On a track. It's almost too hardcore for its own good. It's wearing 25 series rubber in the rear, 295 25 series tires in the rear.
It's like a ribbon of rubber.
They painted the tires on.
Yes.
295s in the rear, 285s in the front. This thing is a steamroller, and you feel it. And those wide tires have increased the precision, not necessarily the feel.
No.
But the suspension is so tight, you still feel the road coming through. So you think it's steering feel, but it's the suspension doing that. It's not the steering
That's
rack.
a good point. The steering itself remains BMW moot.
Correct.
The car has been turned up on every other input.
Correct.
Yeah.
So there's more feel coming
I
through,
get
but
that.
it's not through the rack. It's the precision here, but the rest of the car is very alive, and that is a great thing. That
That's a
does
good
make
point.
it feel very on point, very on edge.
Yeah.
That's what you're feeling. So I want this car. I've never wanted the Beaver Teeth look,
I haven't either.
but I'll take this one. I will happily take this car.
I wish we had heard everything that they did with the suspension. We know it is their suspension setup. We don't know the details on it. I believe it's their coilover setup. I wish I knew what they'd done to bushings and that kind of thing, because there's been profound changes to make this car stiff. It's not like, yeah, we'll stiffen up a bit. It feels revolutionized, and revolutionized with far less concern for the road.
Yeah.
And luckily the roads that we're driving it on in Germany are generally pretty good. Of course, the Autobahn's brilliant. The ring is fun, so it's working out. But I am thinking about like random other places for this to be, and going, this isn't for everywhere. It's really not.
It's really not.
Yeah.
The way you want to drive this car, gas mileage is right out.
It's irrelevant.
It's not a consideration anymore.
They shouldn't even mention it on the sheet, because it really doesn't
Especially
matter. It doesn't
when
matter.
you're driving fast, it's very much in line with all M3s that we've ever driven. They just drink gas.
Yes.
Ooh, all-wheel drive just sticks you. Oh.
I thought you were in 2 mode, but I guess you reset. That's cool. Yeah. So if you're trying to buy one of these, you can't, because they aren't bringing the M3 Touring to the US as far as we know. We'd love for BMW to change its mind on that. Plus, AC Schnitzer is a German tuning company, so you also can't get this exact. This is total forbidden fruit, folks. I don't know another way to put it. You cannot have this, but it sure is cool. So we will all wonder that. But if you're looking for the current M3, past M3s, you need to go to autotempest.com right now. They are the #1 place that we use actually to research for the podcast, to shop for our own cars. You can get used cars, new cars, M3s before the Beaver Teeth era. You can get those too. You could look for the actual BMW wagons they sell in the States, or even competitor wagons being sold in the States. BMW, I'm
all
telling
the
you,
BMWs.
bring this wagon to the States so we can search for it
Yes.
new on Auto Tempest or used. You have to go to autotempest.com/everyday so they know we sent you. All the cars, one search. It's a lot. It's a lot. There was a test recently by a German automotive magazine, and they were allowing tuners to come test on a 3,000 meter test run. So a straight runway circuit, 3,000 meters, which is just under 2 miles. The test was, how fast can you go 0 to the end of the straight from sitting still? This did 190. 0 to 190 in less than 2 miles.
What do you suppose their fuel economy was?
Poor.
Flansgarden's right here.
Flansgarden, yes. People are
The
jumping at the ring right here as we
Ring
go
is
by.
right here.
Yep, pretty cool. I kind of want to take this on the ring.
I would love to take
It would
this on
be
the ring.
really fun. Ron, next time we want to come back, we want to take
And
this
I'm
on the
sure
ring.
it would do superbly well.
Yes.
It would surprise all of us.
Absolutely.
And we'd still want it. So this begs the question, what is it going to take for BMW to bring this wagon, this Touring, to North America? What will it take? What kind of sales number makes sense?
Good question.
Because
yeah.
I think there is a market even more than any executive would like to admit. Because every enthusiast just wants this for the daily. There will be your ring car, your track car, your spa car, your whatever car that is for track use.
Yeah, okay, fair.
But for everything else that makes you feel like you're on track at all times, which is what car nerds want, this is the one you want to buy.
Here's the thing. Don't you want an M3 Touring over any SUV BMW makes?
100% yes.
I mean, I know we're automotive geeks. I get it. But I would just want that instead.
What are you doing? Camster?
The Camster.
I had to pass a Citroen Camster.
The Hamster just got taken down. All right.
And I have to...
Good brakes, too.
Yeah, carbon ceramics on the brakes.
All right, okay. We're not kidding around. Nothing about this is kidding around. Everything about this is quite serious, and somehow being that serious has now pushed its way into fun.
Hey, look, Nurburgring Castle.
There it is.
Our happy place. Like, this is...
Yes.
This moment
Yes,
makes
you're right.
me really happy.
Yes. Forbidden fruit.
The Nurburgring Castle, the
Castle in the
Nurburgring,
distance.
the famous gas station. In this car, it just feels like home. I'm home.
This is certainly home. Yeah. This versus RS6. That's a tough one.
Oh,
I gotta admit. See, it's tough. It's tough.
I wonder if it's going to be like stick shifts. Like, if there enough enthusiasts demand, instead of save the manuals, save the Tourings.
Save the wagons.
Yep.
There you go. It's a new sticker.
I'm wrestling with beaver teeth versus cool touring AC Schnitzer awesomeness. And the Schnitzer is winning. That is Heimat.
Rastpass Bitter. Don't know what any of that means, but it's fun to say. What's Rastpass Bitter mean?
That is Heimat.